All right, welcome everybody to the afternoon session of collecting actigraphy data in a closed system. I appreciate everybody joining us today and taking some time out of their busy day to join us for a brief webinar here at ActiGraph in Pensacola, Florida. We're going to go ahead and get started. We've got a few attendees that are coming in slowly, but we're going to go ahead and get rolling so we can get everybody out of here on time. You'll notice that on your desktop you'll have a small control panel that looks similar to the icon that's shown on the screen now. Just expand using that little expansion button and you can type in your questions and send those in as you need to. If you have any problems at all, just use the question box to send those over, and we'll do our best to answer those during the webinar. If we don't get to your question in particular, we'll certainly get to you via email afterwards. Our presenters today, my name is Jeremy Wyatt. I'm the Vice President of Software Engineering here at ActiGraph. I'm joined by my colleague Brian Bell. He's a Software Engineering Manager and actually the lead manager for the ActiLife product that many of you have used in the past. And so we'll be the ones on the call today. Just a brief overview of what I like to talk about, and we'll go ahead and get into the presentation. Just to outline, I'm going to talk a little bit about ActiGraph's product offering, our differentiation, what's our value add, why do you want to use us, what makes us different. Talk briefly about our solutions product suite, and about the fact that we have more or less become a solutions provider over the past year and a half, 2 years. Get into ActiLife 6, and talk a little bit about some of the things we've done there. Demo the API, which is the subject of today's webinar, and then talk a little bit about some of the upcoming product solution enhancements that we have in store for the next 6 to 8 months. So why are we different? What makes ActiGraph different, and why have we been used extensively? We put this slide together to just outline a few key points that we'd like to make. We do offer industry-leading validated solutions, and as many of you know, we are used in about 72 countries around the world by some pretty large institutions and organizations to analyze physical activity in humans, and that's grown to also include animals and various other things as well. But we've certainly been used and have been around since the 80s. Are the originator of Actigraphy type devices. We do have a dedicated customer solution focus, and so what we are interested in doing is providing you, our customer, with solutions that meet your need, and that includes our customers in the research realm as well as our customers in the pharmaceutical realm, and you'll hear me touch on both of those a little bit more today. I think one of our biggest value added components that we bring to the table is our rapid development cycle, and that's summarized in that third bullet. We are collaborative. We are an agile group. We try to be very rapid in our deployment cycles and in adapting to our customer needs. So you'll hear me say over and over again that we do a good job of providing the engineering and science behind our software and hardware, but we rely greatly on our customer base to provide us with the validation and the actual usage of that data. And so we try to be quick to adapt to the customer's need, and sometimes working directly with customers along the way. We offer robust solutions. We've got about 100,000 devices deployed globally, and of course we do have ongoing dedicated customer support that we believe is second to none. And of course our customer support has about a 99% satisfaction rating with all of our global customers, and we're happy to say that we've been able to do that right here in Pensacola, Florida, from our headquarters. I want to talk a little bit about ActiGraph as a solutions provider. Historically, we've done a good job providing software and hardware solutions for our research customers, and many of you who are joining today may be from that customer group. We've historically been very involved with that group, designing hardware and software to meet the needs of researchers at a very low level, providing detailed analytics of Actigraphy, providing validation against various components for physical activity and other types of measurements that are critical in being able to quantify values off of a device to measure physical activity. Our new focus that we've really brought to the forefront over the past 2 years has been the subject and patient environment. And our goal as a solutions provider is to connect these two dots and provide our researchers and our subjects with a collaborative solution that really brings the two together. And we really see a trend in translational research and in the pharmaceutical industries needing that connection. So many of you are familiar with our ActiLife software that we provide to the researchers. That's still available today. I'm going to talk a lot about it today. I'm going to talk today about the API that we've developed that interacts with ActiLife and the use case that we have for that. Specifically, the use case that we find particularly notable is that the API allows ActiLife to be controlled remotely from the client's specific application within a closed environment. And so a good example of that is in a pharmaceutical industry. Pharmaceutical requirements include FDA constraints on access to devices and user or patient information. The API allows that client application to be CFR 21 Part 11 compliant. ActiLife simply falls behind that veil and allows the client to interact directly with our devices and with our software, capturing the data that they are particularly interested in without breaching the requirements of the FDA Part 11 constraints. And so we'll talk about how that works today and how that meets the solution for our pharma customers. Some efforts that we've got going right now that we believe are going to be critical to a lot of our customers include the development of a research portal which simplifies the deployment of devices and allows a researcher to maintain an aggregate view of multiple patients that are within a given study or research project. The research portal simplifies deployment. ActiLife, as you may know, is a very detailed analytics platform. The research portal is focused at taking some of those detailed analytics and placing them in a useful view and allowing a researcher or a research group to quickly view the health status and the physical activity data, objective data from a patient population in sort of a simple type view. We're developing that now and are actually testing that out with quite a few customers in pilot scenarios. So this year, some enhancements that we're adding to include the subject-patient environment include the addition of a subject portal, which will allow a patient who is in the field and is being observed during an intervention, will allow that patient to interact with their data. So they'll be able to see the data that they've uploaded at the clinic. They'll be able to get feedback from a researcher through the research portal, and will be able to be instructed about protocol changes in a clinical intervention, and will be able to give feedback to a researcher directly through that. So in order to make that more of a real-time scenario, we're also adding some patient-centric mobile applications which allow the patient to view some of their data and receive instructions from a research group through a mobile app. Specifically this year, we'd like to add in the ability to capture data from our devices wirelessly through a mobile app and provide that data back to the research tool in near real time. And so, of course, the challenge for us here at Actigraph is connecting these pieces together with our cloud software that we are currently developing. And so this is sort of a 30,000-foot view of Actigraph's solution pitch that we have, and each component in here is available by itself, and within the next 12 months will be available as a group as well. So today I want to focus primarily on the API section and talk to you about what that has brought to the field for Actigraph and how that can benefit you, the customer. So a lot of folks are familiar with the ActiLife 6 software. I thought that I would briefly go through it since the API does utilize ActiLife 6. I thought it would be beneficial to briefly look at some of the enhancements and features that we've added over the past 6 months. And this first slide indicates that ActiLife 6 is a research application, but with the API it becomes more global, it becomes more useful in many applications. But historically it has been used in research. And it's a good time to remind folks that ActiLife 6 is a maintenance-based product. Version 6.6 was released yesterday with approximately maybe 20 different enhancements that we've added. And so I would remind and encourage everyone to make sure their maintenance is updated because we do have updates that come out about every 5 to 6 weeks. And those updates are pretty drastic and include a lot of input from the industry and improvements such as the API, which was released in version 6.6 yesterday. ActiLife 6 leverages a lot of different techniques for capturing data from the various devices that ActiGraph sells or has sold in the past. The first screen in ActiLife offers batch device management, so I'm able to plug into a computer basically any device that we sell, and I'm able to initialize that device, download the data from that device, make sure that the firmware on that device is up to date, and I'm able to do that with as many devices as I can connect simultaneously, which certainly helps in a large batch type environment. We also support the new wireless interface to our device, so we're now able to display the device in real time over the wireless channel, and we're able to show the orientation and give a real-time stream of the activity data coming from the accelerometer as well as the heart rate and the ambient light measured by the device. And this has some uses in various clinical applications. We also offer our WhereTo Validation tool, which is quite a robust way of looking at wear versus non-wear time after you've gathered your data from your subject group or your population. The WhereTo Validation tool does a great job of giving you an overview of how efficient your patient group was at actually wearing the device as prescribed, and it highlights any areas of concern quickly for multiple sets at one time. Our sleep analytics tool, of course, is available to our maintenance subscribers, and we're able to analyze in detail your sleep and apply some sleep algorithms to your data. We also added not too long ago the option to correlate any GPS data that's been collected on your subject with the activity data that they've gathered using our device. And the graphic here shows an overlay on Google Earth. It's a map of your intensity versus your location, and so this is a jog that someone did around our office. But you can also export this data to a CSV file and have that data for your own SAS analysis. The Data Vault product is also built into ActiLife, giving our users the option to centrally locate all of their data that they download from our device during a particular study. Since ActiLife is connected through a cloud system, ActiLife running in multiple locations will allow users to share their data through the Data Vault. So someone in Washington State could upload their data, and then their partner in North Carolina could see that data in near real time through the Data Vault, and it gives a nice centralized location for them to store that data. Since it is a backed up cloud solution, we are able to recover data in the event of a catastrophic loss, and thereby saving our customers some major problems. The Data Vault is free to our subscribers who are keeping their maintenance plan updated. Just released this week log diaries, so the ability to correlate specific on and off time logs for a particular file or a group of files, correlate those back to the file and just do analysis on those particular time periods. That was a major request from our customers, and we're glad to get that out this week. ActiLife Mobile was released just last year in 2012. So it's a lightweight version of ActiLife that allows you to initialize devices and view some data from those devices on your smartphone. And then the API, which we'll talk about today, which provides client-side access to ActiLife through a client-specific application. The best way to describe how the API works is essentially acts as an application remote control for ActiLife, but the applications are endless. This API will allow our customer group to operate ActiLife and capture data from our devices and process that data in a very specific manner within a closed system. And so with that, I'd like to talk a little bit more about the API, and then I'll do a brief demo. So as we've mentioned, the API is ActiLife based. ActiLife serves as the backbone for all the communications and processing from our device. And so what you'll find if you look at our documentation is that the API is available over a standard socket. So any application that operates over a standard socket, a web-based application, a C# client application, a Java application, any app that you've created that you wish to capture data from our devices through, the ActiLife API will support that as long as you're running in a Windows type environment. ActiLife runs in the background, and so what you'll see in the demo today is that ActiLife will pop up in the foreground during my demonstration. During our next release, we plan to allow users to completely lock down ActiLife and the splash screen so that you can essentially operate completely autonomously, and ActiLife will be basically transparent and not visible to the end user. The benefit of running the ActiLife application as the source of the API, there are many benefits, but one that we believe is probably one of the most popular benefits is that it automatically manages your device firmware for you. And so many of our customers who deploy these in multiple sites and labs around the world will find that that they have to maintain these devices. A lot of times customers will purchase these devices and think, okay, I'm ready to go, I've got my units, let's go ahead and write our code. But the fact is, we're always evolving the hardware, we're always evolving the device and improving battery life and improving functionality. And so to try to maintain the firmware without an API, but in fact by using your own code, is almost impossible. And so ActiLife has all of this device maintenance and USB control built into it. You simply install it and tell the application that, hey, I need to get some data from you, and it's going to tell you, okay, let me update the firmware. Basically becomes transparent to the user and reduces the workload and overhead cost of operating this in a system. I mentioned also that ActiLife manages USB and wireless communications. There are thousands of man-hours that have gone into the ActiLife product to ensure that USB transfers and protocols are met. All of the USB IF testing that is necessary to communicate properly with the device without losing data. All of that has been invested into the ActiLife product, and so having the API in place allows you to take advantage of that in a very cheap manner. Automatic application updates, so ActiLife is going to automatically stay updated for you. You don't have to worry about a maintenance plan for your own code if you're running an API. And of course, a big benefit is that ActiLife being in the background automatically handles your hardware, your new hardware platforms. And at the end of this presentation today, I've got a brief slide about our next generation of the WGT3X Plus product that we sell today. And you'll see the benefit of having the API. If you were to write your own code to access data from the device, you would be rewriting that code when we release new hardware updates. But with the API, it's essentially transparent, and your protocols on your end can stay the same and not change at all. Just continuing a little bit with some of the benefits, you're also able to choose your export format, and we're adding to these daily. The AGD format is the inherent format that's built into ActiLife. We plan on adding .bin format soon. So these are growing every day. And as I mentioned in the first slide, we're able to work quickly with customers as they say, hey, I need a specific file format. We're able to do that. We try to capture all of the required ones early on in development, but we are able to adjust the API quickly, and another benefit of having it built in. Also, ActiLife is fully tested on these platforms, and so you're guaranteed, or not guaranteed, but you can feel certain that these platforms have been tested, and you know that your device is going to work in the field on multiple devices. And just something to keep in mind is that we're deployed in several large studies. We're deployed in the Women's Health Study, 20,000 individuals. We're in the NHANES study at NIH, 13,000 individuals, and so a lot of computers involved in capturing this data. And so we've been able to identify the problems that you're going to run into, and we've addressed many of those problems. So having ActiLife as the back end of this API is crucial, because you're able to bypass that needed testing and reduce your overhead costs. Our API documentation, I'll go through it briefly in just a moment. The documentation is updated in near real time. It's a Google document, and so we keep any changes that happen. We can update those and have them out pretty much instantly. And then finally, we also offer sample applications that allow you to help you get started with your application. So I'll be demoing a Java application today. We've got a CSharp Demo application today that are coming out soon that will allow you to test out how you can control ActiLife using a CSharp app. And of course, the source code for both of those will be made available to our customers and to help you get a jump start on your API application. So with that, I'd like to do just a brief demo of a small application that we've written that remotely controls ActiLife in a few scenarios, and then I'll be glad to field any questions that have been pushed through or go into anything specific that anyone would like to see. So we've written a simple Java application. This would represent essentially a client application that has been written for a specific purpose. We are currently working with the NIH group at NHANES, and so they actually have their own application that runs in some of their collection units. They call them mech trailers, and so they've written their own application, and so the users who they've trained and who are in the field are accustomed to looking at that particular application. They're accustomed to the buttons that are there, and so they don't want to clutter things up by adding ActiLife. And so what you'll see is this app will represent, for instance, the client application that they're used to seeing, and I'm just going to walk through how that might work in their instance. We've got some controls up top that we've just built in to demonstrate things. We've got a list or a print view here of the output that we're pushing forward, and then down at the bottom we've just got a basic log to show the transmit receive things that are going on. And so I'll just start by sending over a command to launch ActiLife, and you'll see it, as I mentioned, launching in the foreground, and I'll pull it over and push it to the background so that you can see what's going on. But essentially ActiLife is going to run in the background and run these commands that I push to it. In our next release, as I mentioned, we are adding the option to suppress splash screens, to suppress the maximization, so that this application is essentially all that a customer might see. So ActiLife's running in the background. If I choose to list the USB devices that are connected to this computer, you can see ActiLife has 2 devices connected. I send over a list command, and you'll see the action USB list command coming out of the API. There's a response back with a success indicator, and then in my print I've got a grid view of the 2 devices that are actually there. And so with these devices, I can take action directly on those devices. I can download data from those devices. So this is again the Java app prompting me to do a test download here. So I'll just run that. So this API is going to pull data through ActiLife. ActiLife's going to provide it with the file location, and for this demo we've set it up to automatically launch that file after it's been downloaded, just to illustrate what that looks like. And so nothing of interest here. It's just a sample device that we've got collecting data sitting on a disk, and so you'll see those 2 devices there. I'll clear the list out and just run the wireless commands to give you an idea of what that looks like. So if I start the wireless protocol within ActiLife, you'll see that I get a list of ANT IDs. These are devices operating over the ANT protocol that are within the vicinity of the USB antenna that we have plugged into this computer locally. And so the 14412 device that we have here about 3 down, it is one that we've programmed up to come up for this demo. And so once it loads, I'll be able to show more information about it. You'll see the top one loaded here, and it's giving me some information about the subject name and the status, and then here's the 14412 device that's reporting its battery voltage wirelessly, and some of these other fields that we haven't filled out yet. any specific application can pull this data into an amalgamated view or into a list that the user might be interested in seeing in a specific format. So now that I've got this device locked in, I can send over a command to stream real-time data. This application is going to give me a small box, and if I hit the start, you'll see at the log down here, I've sent over the wireless real-time start along with the arguments that go with that command, and you'll see in the grid up here it's going to instantly begin to stream over all of that data. And so you'll see live data coming from all three axes, the lux sensor and also the heart rate sensor on the device. You'll see them change in real time. And so just a real quick illustration of what you can do with the API. I almost wish that it were a little higher level, but essentially we can't fathom the number of applications for this API, and so we've, in our small minds, have just made something that emulates what we're doing in ActiLife. But this application can be a front-end face on just about anything. So I want to take just a brief moment. I'm going to close the API, but I want to jump over to the documentation and show you how we've structured that and how that's going to evolve over time and help you to stay up to date on what we're doing with the API. So I'll just open the documentation and show you what it looks like. It is a live document, so it's always being updated. Of course, update notes at the top. Some key things that we put in the documentation. You'll notice our table of contents is structured to show you quickly which actions are available to you. This list is going to grow really quickly as we begin to add more and more actions that become available through that channel. But just to go through a few important things, I will mention that ActiLife is going to listen on a specific named pipe, and so you'll want to pay attention to that. Basically, to run the API, ActiLife 6.6 does ship with that option available, but to actually use the API, you'll have to contact ActiGraph right now. So it's an opt-in feature. You'll have to contact us, and we'll have to turn that feature on remotely for you. And as we begin to work out how this is going to work with our customers, we're going to make that easier. But for now, for sake of testing this feature out and using it in the field, it's an opt-in, so you'll want to contact us to turn that on. Just a couple of notes on formatting. Most of the action requests and responses are marked up using JSON because JSON is a pretty common structured language to send that data in and format those packets. For version 1.6 of the API and forward, all of the date-time formats are in ISO 8601, and so you'll see the UTC times appearing as they come back over the API channel. So just briefly to look at some of the actions. The action format is very simple. Each action is basically a string with the action name and then a set of arguments. And so, for instance, the wireless identify command is simply the identify command followed by some information from with the timeout that you expect. And all of those are formatted in our documentation here. And then the responses are just as simple. Basic response string as you would expect, and then a success or error flag, each of those with its corresponding output. And then we do send back the original arguments to help you with error checking. And so just a quick example, I'll jump down to the USB download here. So here's the USB download command, pretty straightforward. Send over the serial number. I'm going to send over the output path. Basically, where do I want to store the file? Do I want to use metric units or English units? The file format that I wish to pull down. So we're adding to this right now. We just have a couple, but we're going to expand that. The AGD options, so if you've used our devices in the past, you know that we can include things in the AGD file, and so you can choose what comes out in that file. You could choose steps, or do I want steps or lux or inclinometer information. The biometric data, so I can choose whether or not to gather the biometric data, and if I choose to gather it, if I want to make changes to it when I pull it down, I can do that. So here's an example action, USB download followed by the arguments. I'm specifying the serial number of the device, specifying which metric units that I want to use, English units. I'm specifying the file formats and then the output path that I'm interested in storing to, and then my AGD options followed by my biometric options. And so once I've sent that over, the response is basically just the path of the files and the payload. So the download command comes back, the argument comes back, and then the payload shows me where those files are. So that's just a quick overview of the documentation to see if there were any questions in particular about that. I wanted to spend just a couple of minutes going through that since this webinar is specific to the API. So just jumping back to the presentation, just wrapping things up here, I thought it would be beneficial to talk to our clients briefly about some of our upcoming product solutions and enhancements. In particular, what are we doing with our hardware and where is it going this year? And a lot of folks have mentioned, hey, you guys are updating your hardware about once a year. What can we expect? And that will continue to be the trend until we find the perfect hardware platform. And so, of course, we're not there yet, but we do feel like our current product is a great solution for a lot of folks. But there are a few things we want to enhance. And so one key thing that we're focusing on this year is interoperability. And so you'll see with this slide some of the things that we're doing to make that happen. Again, we are a solutions provider, and so we want our hardware to also represent that solution platform and work well in that solution platform. And so the device that we're planning to release is basically the same type device that we have today. We're also going to release another version of it that has a better case, an improved case. A lot of folks have asked about, can we thin this down and make it look a little better? The challenge that we have had in the past is that most of our customers are requiring a very high battery life on a single charge. In fact, our latest device runs about 30 days on a single charge. That immediately makes the height profile on our device be pretty high because we have to have a large lithium-ion battery to hold that charge. So with some of the clinical applications, though, we can expect customers to charge those maybe daily or weekly. So that reduces our requirement, and we're able to make the case a little better. So we are going to do some enhancement on the case, and we will be talking about that throughout the summer as we begin to plan that design. So stay tuned, and we'll be tapping customers for input on that. So we're looking at midsummer. We're going to add in Bluetooth 4.0 support in this device. We currently support the ANT Plus wireless protocol. We're adding the Bluetooth 4.0. Most of you are probably familiar with the LE notation or low energy notation for that protocol, and so that's going to enable us to be to operate with other devices that are using the Bluetooth protocol and Bluetooth bandwidth. In particular, smartphones and other biometric devices that are in the field that talk well over that protocol. The LE protocol is low powered enough to have minimal impact on our battery life in clinical applications and in gathering data in real time in the field, and so it seems to be a good fit for us. The addition of capacitive touch sensing for wear-time validation is going to be added in here, and so we'll essentially be adding a metal plate in the back of the device to sense when the device is in contact or near contact with the skin, and so that will allow our customers through the software to identify periods of time when the device was taken off or completely removed from the person's body, thereby giving them a better estimate of wear versus non-wear times and helping them to really look at periods of non-wear versus wear and make some determinations based on that. We're adding more memory. In fact, we're quadrupling the memory that we currently have. Currently, we're at about 512 megabytes. We're going to 2 gigabytes for this new device. And all of these changes are going to allow us to operate better with mobile devices and with other peripheral devices such as weight scales and blood pressure monitors and spirometers. Today, with the ANT Plus protocol, we are able to gather some pretty good information from heart straps, which are providing us high-resolution heart rate data. In fact, today with our WGT3X Plus device, you can capture R to R heart rate intervals using a heart strap. And so we hope to continue to provide that benefit, but also expand our reach and begin to communicate more efficiently with other hardware devices. And another feature that we'll be adding with this device is this concept of proximity sensing. And so the applications for this are endless. Essentially, the device will be able to tag or mark the serial number of other nearby devices. And so the applications there are, for instance, let me detect when I'm in the presence of, if I'm a child wearing the device and my mother also has a device on, am I more or less active when I'm in her presence? If my teacher has one on, am I more or less active at school? If I'm an adult and I have a device on my person and then one in my car, how much time do I spend in my car a week? If I have one on my nightstand or by my bed, how much time do I spend in sedentary situations, and how can I make improvements on that? So all of these, as you can see, are aimed back at the first slide at providing a solution to our customers. The idea of improving this translational component and really connecting the end user, the customer, the patient back to this clinical team. That's our goal, and that's what we've tried to accomplish with this hardware roadmap that I'm showing you here. So that's really it for our presentation today. Just again, recap on our differentiation. We continue to, and we'll continue to provide validated solutions for our customers. We want to really focus on those customer solutions and provide quick, easy approaches to solve those problems that you guys have today. And again, we've always got our dedicated support staff who are going to be there to help you guys out in any specific type situations or anything that we need to address with you or work directly with you on if you've got a specific application that you are involved in. So again, just remember ActiGraph for all of your needs there, and we're going to do our best to continue to provide robust quality solutions to our clients as we grow into a product solutions provider. So that's it for our presentation today. I'll pause for just a moment and see if we have any specific questions that I can answer verbally. While I'm doing that, I want to encourage everybody to please take a moment to fill out the survey that you'll receive after you close the webinar. And if you'll take some time to do that, that would help us out a lot in providing better webinars in the future. And so we appreciate that. I think we had one question about when will the research portal be available. Is that right, Brian? Yeah. And so actually we have the research portal available today in a limited state. We are working with some specific customers that I can't reveal under NDA, but I'd be glad to work with anybody who might be interested in piloting the research portal today in their own particular cases. And so if you'll just contact us at the email shown there, we'll be glad to get in touch with you and give you some information and even do a demo. I do plan on doing a webinar on that research portal within the next probably 2 months, and so we'll be glad to give you more information on that.
Question is the demo API included? I think he's asking about the Java app.
Yeah. Okay. Someone's asking if the API demo application that we've shown today is available. Yes, it is available. In fact, we provide the source code for that to help you get started with your application. And we do have a GitHub account, so we'd be glad to share that account with you and add you to our repository there. Okay, I don't think we have any questions that would apply to the group, so I think that's it for our webinar today. I appreciate everybody tuning in again. Thank you for taking a few minutes out of your day and supporting ActiGraph. We thank you for your loyalty, and we look forward to working with each of you in the future. We hope you have a great Easter weekend. Take care.